Let's get recording. Hey everybody, it's James, otherwise known as Escape Punk Lefty. Finally back here with some real content for you. This is not going to be a short. This is not going to be a quick video. So, just to get into it, so this doesn't take too long. I'm trying to make 2 videos today, 2 tomorrow, so you will get at least 4 videos over the next month. So this lady named Amanda Seales went on Jubilee to debate a bunch of black conservatives. At first, I was going to go on, how can I say, the video itself from Jubilee, but I believe that it's copyrighted. Even if I was to go over like 5 or 10 minutes of the video, I would probably have to deal with a copyright strike. And my channel is nowhere, and I'm not willing to, have to deal with that, because if somebody reports my channel for having copyrighted content, because they would do that to left-wing content creators, my channel could go kaput, or I just might get a strike. But I'm trying to stay away from those as much as possible. So, okay, let's talk about debating in conservatives in 2025, especially specifically talking about debating black conservatives and how you do it. You see, the best way to debate a black conservative, or any conservative, I say, in 2025, is that it's one of the 2 ways you got to do it. Number one is you have to drop all professionalism and civility politics. You have to, I'm not going to even lie, dog these people out to get your points across, because what they do is you will talk about one subject and it will bog the conversation down with a bunch of other talking points that is impossible to debunk, and that helps their racist white audience members or ignorant sellout cotton pickers feel intelligent for repeating out loud. So take, for instance, if we're talking about black crime, right? Let's say, why is it so much crime in the black community? Instead of directly talking about political policies that led to an epidemic of crime in the black community, we get caught up talking about things, or should I say shit, that doesn't have anything to do that, with the relevance of the conversation that we're trying to have. Because instead of talking about black crime, quote unquote, and things that the Reagan administration did, especially by allowing the cartels and what have you and gun runners to bring cocaine back into the United States during the Iran-Contra scandal, we're talking about a bunch of other shit that doesn't matter. So we will get caught up talking about, like for instance, let me give you an example. So instead of having a discussion about that, they will fire out 5 or 6 talking points about a whole different topic that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Or they will move the goalposts and just say, oh, that doesn't mean sell it. Oh, that's so you saying that doesn't mean try. Because they will literally ask you why is something, and then you give them a legitimate answer about the history of black history and American history about why something the way that it is for black people. And then suddenly out of nowhere, they move the goalposts to, so that doesn't mean that don't try. Or if they are not moving the goalposts, you get a cavalcade of talking points that's completely irrelevant to what you're talking about. So you would get, you want to know why it's crime in the black communities? Because the welfare state created by the Democratic Party. And by the way, Margaret Sanger was a Democrat, by the way, and she wanted, she was a eugenicist, and that's why abortion is. It's like, what the fuck are we even talking about anymore? You don't change the subject like 2 or 3 times about 2 or 3 different people when we're supposed to be talking about political policies that led to the epidemic of crime in the black community. But that's what black conservatives do. They're here to, as some people will say, put on a minstrel show for racist white people and to get money from their, getting racist white people to ignore black history and profiting off black suffering. So that's why Amanda here and any other black leftist has a hard time. And that's why when I debate black conservatives, especially on TikTok, I'm not nice to them, because that's what they play off of, civility politics and talking one at a time when you're in these debate situations where there's no moderator. The other way you have to debate a black conservative is the way the Conscious Lee does that, infamously enough, is that you have to give time, speeches, and time to respond, and then a speech at the end, like a real school debate. Because if you don't do that, again, you deal with what I spoke about in the first scenario, where they flood the zone with a bunch of narratives and talking points that are completely irrelevant to things that you were talking about before. And it's easier in this format with a moderator, or even if you moderate it yourself like the Conscious Lee does, to make it, to get your points across and to make it so that the conversation doesn't get bogged down with irrelevant mess. So, without further ado, let's see what this guy has to say.
We don't get to the root of the fact that we're killing each other at a higher rate than any other race. It is self-hatred amongst us.
I mean, we're really not. And if we want to talk about the black crime/murder rate, again, this is directly affected by right-wing policies that were foisted upon the black community against our will. But we're not going to talk about that. Watch how we get into this, because that's why Amanda is looking like that, because this is a tirade of nothing. It's completely ignorant about black history, and there's no discussion about what political policies led the black community to the state that it's in today. I was going to say, because I'm not cutting this video.
I believe that we can do that. That my cousin, my mom's cousin, excuse me.
I'm not cutting this video. I'm telling you right now, YouTube. Might as well just work. So I'm not starting over.
Coming from the church parking lot, and guess who stuck her up and robbed her at gunpoint? A black man.
I'm not debating.
Because it's called proximity crime. I don't understand what that talking point was, because before we get to what Amanda has to say about that, because she's going to take a different approach, which is even less civil than what I'm going to say, because it's called a proximity crime. If you live in a black city, in a black neighborhood, you're more likely to get robbed or something by a black person, and the vice versa can go for a white person in a white neighborhood. So this idea that it's a unique epidemic of crime in the black community against one another, directly targeting one another, is ridiculous. You just commit crimes against the people that are in proximity to you, and not commit crimes against the people that are far away from you. Because notice, that's how you know racism is real, and we'll get to that at the end of this video, by the way. There's always discussion about black on black crime, but when we talk about how white on white crime happens just as often, we get accused on changing the subject. But I thought all crime was bad. All crime matters, right? So we should discuss all crime equally amongst as American citizens. Suddenly, when it comes to black people, there has to be this unique discussion about it, when it really shouldn't be.
And the irony about this was that it's not that I didn't know how to debate, it's that I just chose not to debate. And I was dealing with people who are...
Because they were not debating. What they were people rattling off talking points. So, again, like I said at the beginning of this video, and I hate to keep pausing it, but, I'm making a content. I'm only going to go to about 5-10 minutes to this video to see what this damn fool has to say. But... she wasn't debating them, because again, these people are not honest actors. They're not honestly debating you on the merits of right or wrong. What these people are, again, are ideologues who exist to pollute clear narratives with nonsense. So instead of talking about, again, like we open black on black crime and the policies that led to a rise in crime in the black community, we're talking about shit like Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood, and how the Democrats did the KKK and all this other shit. And, and then you got to talk about the Southern strategy. You got to talk about how feminism has evolved to include black women. So now you're bogged down into a conversation that I'm not going to say that you can't win, but it's going to take longer time for you to win and have to deal with all these loosely associated talking points that were blasted at you within probably a 30-second to a minute time frame. Because that's another thing that they do, is if you have a debate with a black conservative and it's say about 5 minutes, their job is not to honestly debate you, it's to fill that time period up with as many talking points as possible. So then they talk for 3 minutes 30 seconds, and now you only have 1 minute 30 seconds to respond to all the bullshit that they said. It's impossible to debunk somebody that's working from motivated reasoning, and not somebody that's working from honestly being uninformed. Because these people that she debated were ideologues. One of them who I debated, and that guy's a damn fool. And they do not, again, exist to, create honest conversations about crime and poverty or education in the black community. They exist to justify white supremacist ideals about black people.
Deeply affected by indoctrination. and by self-hatred.
I thought they were going to culinary art school the way they were cooking Amanda Seals on that Jubilee show.
It looked like he's staying in a hotel.
This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com. TatumStore.com, so make sure you check out our store.
It's always all about the merch. It's all about the merch and shit and the money. So what
Amanda Seals got cooked. Okay, we all saw that. At first I thought it was a cooking show. I thought they were going to culinary art school the way they were cooking Amanda Seals.
Hey, ain't it a clip of this guy because he was debating somebody and he got floored and he's talking about something. When you catch him in the street, he gonna beat your ass and all this other shit. This dude was on a podcast acting ghetto as hell one. And I gotta find that clip. So it's funny enough that this guy acted all street and black during that. But, during this, his normal content, he's trying to act all upright and, the hood black guy that gets it to try to impress all the racist white people. I kind of just find that funny.
Jubilee show. And of course, I'm not just saying this because I don't like Amanda Seals, which is true. I really don't like the way she presents herself. I don't like her arguments. I don't know her as a person, but she seems insufferable. However, she did get...
She's insufferable. I would rather hang out with a black leftist woman than a black conservative blowhard grifter any day of the fucking week.
Cooked. Her audience is acting as if she did a good job. Now, she responded to the cooking session.
She did what she could with the situation that was given to her.
I didn't have a chance to play everybody that cooked her. And I think that there were so many people that had such an incredible take on conservative values in comparison to the liberal nut job, which Amanda Seals really is. So I want to...
She clearly said that she wasn't a liberal, bro. These motherfuckers are so irritating because they don't know anything about politics. And they literally think that the only two political ideologies that you can have, and it's a reason why they talk about it like this, is liberal Democrat or conservative Republican. Well, it's more political ideologies out there. You can be pro-black and still disagree with liberals in the Democratic Party. It's called being a leftist, being a socialist, a black radical. That's what the fuck you do. And I can't
play two clips. They're not going to be long. I want to play two clips of a young lady and another young man that literally cooked her even more. And then I want to play her response to it. And then I want to show you guys the responses from two of the individuals who actually went on the show and given their reaction to who she really was in person behind the scenes. So I think you guys are going to be entertained by all of this. But let's first start.
You talking about the white people are going to be entertained by all of this?
A little bit of cooking.
So I think I'm coming from a place, and I guess my issue is having had my biological father murdered by a black man, having had my cousin shot in the head by a black...
Because this is proximity crime. This is not a powerful testimony on black crime. This is proximity. It's like, I don't understand how this is hard to understand because, again, the discussion of white on white crime is not discussed the same way as black on black crime or crime in general. You are more likely to be killed by somebody or robbed by somebody or, raped or any of that other shit by somebody that lives near you. When white men rob, rape, and kill people, excuse me, YouTube for that one, it's, other white people. It's white women. When white men unalive people and like that, it's their white wives. It's like, the homeless guy on the street that they think nobody's going to find out about. When white men are offending against kids, it's a little freaking white kid. So this idea that black people have a unique propensity to offend against each other is a false dichotomy. It's fucking ridiculous. And it's completely dishonest for anybody to think that this is a valid argument to say that black people have some sort of quote-unquote unique problem with crime. It's fucking ridiculous.
Man, we can talk numbers and statistics and what the people are doing, what the white man is doing and all that, but at the end of the day...
yeah, of course, and then look at that shit. Ignore black history, right? So instead of talking about the social and economic policies and ideas that led to a unique surge in crime in the black community from the 1970s onward, we should ignore that and just blame black people for it. So we can't talk about the crack cocaine disparity, sentencing disparity. We can't talk about the fact that the Richard Nixon administration purposefully associated black people in the anti-war left with drugs and crime. We can't talk about the fact that all the black leaders that actually are leading black people to a better future, away from gang violence and criminality, while so happily leaving all the actual self-serving criminals alone, were literally massacred, killed. Fred Hampton, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all the influential black leaders that were leading black people towards togetherness and cooperation were killed by the U.S. government. Not to say they were the only ones, and the others were either liberalized and got on with the status quo, or they were phased out because they were afraid. So we it's like, this is what we're talking about. This is completely ignorant to U.S. history and African American history when we're talking about the things that led to the crime epidemic in the black community. Not to mention the fact, a lot of it, it's like, it's so much we can talk about. We can talk about the fact that the Confederate States were never properly punished, and the black people were never given reparations for being those slaves. So they had no generational wealth or property to pass on to the next generation. So those people were poor, and when you're poor, you're more susceptible to being a criminal or committing crime. You can just look at the Jews and Italians in the early 1900s and stuff like that, 1920, 1910, 1930. Because when we think about gangster back in that day, you thought of an Italian guy, not really a black guy. But of course there were black gangsters that worked for the mob, black mobs and others. But at the end of the day, when the wealth disparity was kind of equal, and some people at that point in time were not considered white, especially in America, you will see them commit crime and join gangs just as often. But we can even see that today when it comes to inequality. Why do you think a lot of white people become neo-Nazis? Why do you think a lot of white people become Ku Klux Klan members? A lot of white people are becoming oath keepers and 3%ers, because these are people who are socially and economically disparate, so they join gangs and extremist groups in order to make their ends meet, or or what they think would make their ends meet. So again, there's no nuance to the discussion about this shit. This is just saying that proximity crime is a thing, which is something everybody knows. This is why it's impossible to have a serious conversation with these people, is because they take a very nuanced, discussed topic and make it one-noted and simplified for their racist white audiences.
I see when my family lives on the south side of Chicago, and I think you and I both can attest to this, and I'm not saying that there are not other factors, but we know that we kill each other at a disproportionate.
So why don't you talk about the factors that's leading to the killing and the gang violence in the black community? Why are you ignoring those other factors? Because you are grifting here. You want to impress racist white people in your audience. Because again, and I was going to save saying this for the end of the video, because you want to know how systemic racism and white supremacy is real. Because the very ideas of us having a black conservative shows that white supremacy and systemic racism is real. These people are defending and deflecting from something, an ongoing epidemic, a socioeconomic warfare against the black community. So they exist to defend something. Something is going on in the background to pad these people's pockets. Whether it's the poor or like middle class or rich white person padding their pockets for seeing the shit, or the corporations that want class division padding their pockets. There's something going on here that allows the black conservative as a political idea to exist. And if there was no white supremacy, there would be nothing for black conservatives to conserve. Because what y'all are conserving is white domination and white supremacist political and economic systems. That's what y'all are conserving as black conservatives. And black progressives, socialist leftists, and even black liberals seek to undermine white supremacy and white domination, while you seek to preserve the status quo. So what status quo? If there's no racism to why black people do the things that they do, why are you so desperate to protect racist white people in the government from these horrible truths about the things that's happening in this country? And that's still happening, by the way.
rate than any other race. Now, why we do that and why 6,000 to 9,000 black men are going to be homicided or killed or whatever by the end of the year annually by other black men, whereas the likelihood of a black man being killed by a white police officer is less than 100.
That's completely irrelevant to the conversation that we're having at hand. We're talking about, because Amanda Sue's acting like that because this, again, and I'm gonna be mean to her too, this bitch is performing. She's not making a serious argument, because there's no fucking way we're gonna compare inner city street crime directly to police violence. Only an idiot would do that.
150 per year. We know that we kill each other at a higher rate. So I'm not debating that they're not.
Something everybody fucking knows, that the police are not just going around blasting black men on the street, and doctors aren't fucking unhooking black women's IVs. We know that already. We know that. This is something everybody fucking knows. But again, she already skirted past the part where we need to talk about basic U.S. history to have a healthy discussion about why black people are in the situations that they're in. But again, she's a mouthpiece for racist white people. She's not having a serious discussion with Amanda.
Factors at play, but because I've lived the experience as a black woman losing my father to be murdered by a black man walking down the street being...
Too damn bad. I don't give a fuck. Fuck her and her dad. I'm sorry on that. And I'm gonna have to like repent for that like tomorrow, but I hate that shit. Like, don't weaponize your bad experiences to promote white supremacist ideas about black people. You think you're the only black person that's endured stress or loss or, you know, or trauma thanks to the problems going on in the black community, so you get to uniquely say that, oh, I lost my dad, so I know what black on black crime does. Fuck that nigga. Like, on some real shit, who cares? In the grand scheme of things, nobody cares about your personal experience, you know? We want to talk about the policies that are leading to these experiences, these desperate experiences young black people and even older black people have to deal with. See, now I'm trying to get through this shit.
No worries, thank you. But walking down the street in inner cities and different things, knowing that it's more likely that my own brother will rob and rape me than a white man or a white officer.
Dude, I'm literally about to go skateboarding downtown in about 45 to 50 minutes from now. No, it's not like that. Like, they try to paint this picture like what they're doing with Washington, D.C., like that, like black areas are these epidemic areas of people getting robbed and raped. It's a unique experience for that stuff to happen to you. It's not happening like every 30 seconds. Like, I've lived in two parts of Detroit. I lived on the east side most of my life, and now I'm living on the west side of Detroit, Michigan. And I think we have the third highest proportionate black population of any city in this country. And it's like, for whatever reason, I feel pretty safe when I go outside walking or jogging or skateboarding or doing something with my car or going to the comic book store. It doesn't fucking matter. What it's about is that those situations pop up sometimes and they're terrible. But again, we need to have a better discussion about them. So I'm trying to move on. I'm not trying to hear this shit all day. We are already like 20 something minutes into this video. So we're going to move on to what he has to say about self-hatred and accountability. He's probably not going to say anything that I haven't addressed already.
Like, so my point is that and I'm not trying to be funny, unless like you said, we're gonna keep it respectful.
Yeah, but you're monopolizing the whole conversation.
I'm not trying. Okay, I'm gonna let you.
Because that's the point, is that she's not supposed to let you talk and put nuance to the arguments and unique problems that the black community experience. She's a mouthpiece for racist white people. So again, if you have 5 minutes to talk, she's up there to take up 4 minutes of the conversation with her own personal experiences and whatever white supremacist talking points that she can rattle out before you have a chance to respond to her.
People, let's not.
And this is why you see how he's reacted, and this is why when you're debating a black conservative, and I'm starting to remember why, because I came in this video kind of calm and stuff, and this is why you tell them when you're debating them to shut the fuck up. This is why when you're debating a black conservative, ensure if they are taking up too much time, rattling off their little racist talking points and their self-hatred bullshit, tell them to shut the fuck up and let you talk. unless you have a moderator. And if you have a moderator, call on a moderator. Don't let them do that shit. She monopolized that conversation on purpose. So again, the black liberal or leftist in this case, clearly could not get off her talking points and discuss the actual problems that cause crime in the black community.
I thought she had a lot of incredible things to say, and I think she'd make a valid point. Like, why don't we take
I bet you do, boy.
accountability and say, no, it's our responsibility for our communities to be better. It's our responsibility to reinvest in our communities.
But we don't want to talk about the fact that black people open a lot of small businesses under the Biden administration. We don't want to talk about the fact that crime is going down. We don't want to talk about the fact that the black-white IQ gap is closing. We don't want to talk about the fact that black people are more often graduating high school these days. We don't want to talk about the fact that we actually fought our way out of the crack epidemic created by Ronald Reagan to destroy the black community. Y'all don't want to talk about progress. Y'all don't want to talk about the policies that led to this situation. Y'all just want to talk about what's going on and how bad it is. So black people constantly are holding ourselves accountable. Why can't we hold our system accountable, our government accountable, for creating these situations that create these pockets of poverty, suffering, and crime?
It's our responsibility that we're teaching our young people to hate each other. We don't have to kill each other at the rate in which other people are, because black.
What is he talking about? It's not hatred. Most crimes, and this is the last section I'm going to do. Most crimes done in the black community are crimes of poverty. Things like theft, carjacking, home invasion, and when it is murder, is usually gang violence over gang territory. See, like, South Central, LA, all that other shit. But even in, like, New York or even in Detroit, that's what most murders and most crimes is about. Is people that are in poverty-stricken situations doing desperate things in order to survive and to make ends meet. Most black people are not out here killing each other because they think it's fun or they just want to do it. Because a lot of these people were raised in desperate and dangerous situations that cause them to normalize the violent behavior that they're participating in. So that's why. And it's a generational trauma thing. It's not a thing of people just want to kill people. You sound like a fucking moron.
White people kill each other at about 80%, and we kill each other like 98%. And we kill more white people twice as much as white people kill black people in this modern era.
Why is that? Why is that even in here? Why is that in here? Why is that in here? Why is that in here? Like, why did you say that? That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. And if white people are killing each other 80% of the time and stuff, and black people are only doing it 90% of the time, 10% more, that shows you that when people are killing each other, it's crimes of proximity and not crimes of, how can I say, what's the word I'm looking for? Of just like anguish and malice. The way that crime, especially organized crime, works.
So why is that? Let's take accountability. Let's take some type of inventory.
And then in the last times in history, and then not only like, the last times in history, but every single time a black person tries to take accountability for the problems that happen in our community, the U.S. government literally killed them, and the people like you literally exist to be our counterparts to argue against our progress for our community.
It's like at your own house. You got to say, as a father, if things are not going right in my house, what am I doing? How can I be a better father? How can I be of assistance to my wife? How can I be a better dad to my children? How can I do X, Y, Z? It's an accountability thing. Now, there's another video for a young man, I think, did the same thing. And these are incredible. Okay, I can't wait to get to her response so you can see what she said about it.
Look at rap. Look at what we're glorifying. Right. We're glorifying violence.
First of all, let's talk about the rap, hip-hop, rock shit. First of all, you idiots, The main consumer, and this is the last section I'm gonna do for real. The main consumer of rap music and hip hop is young white suburban men, are the people that rap music is made for. So drill music and trap music is not largely consumed by black people. Number two, this is a racist talking point, because not only is it black people like me that listen to things like punk, metal, and other alternative music, you also have black people that listen to a lot of R&B and soul music, and you have a lot of conscious hip-hop too. So this ignores the fact that, especially in rap and hip-hop, there's a large variety in the ways in which people express themselves in their feelings, or talk about their environment through their music. And the very idea that this is directly associated with black people is a white supremacist talking point. Not to mention the fact this is made for a white audience. You want to know how you can tell? Because these are white record company executives that hire these black artists to continue to make this music. And that's why you will notice a lot of those same people you're talking about wind up being black manga clowns.
Who's we?
The black community.
Who controls the
black community?
Who controls the distribution of these sources of media?
And who takes it in? And who takes it in?
Listen,
the both answers is white people. Because think about that shit. Because we have a lot of trap and drill music that winds up to the top 10 hits of the summer or whatever. I don't know how modern music works, right? That music works its way up there, not through just black people. It's through white people listening to that music too. When we think about the top 10 songs that are out right now, you know, if one of them is a trap rap or drill rap song, whatever you want to say, you know, it's not because it's only black people listening to it exclusively. And again, this ignores the rich history of black music and black expression that is being completely ignored by racist black people like yourself. Because we don't want to talk about people like Prince, Diana Ross and the Supremes, you know, Smokey Robinson, Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. You just want to talk about Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, and like Kodak Black or some shit like that. And ironically, Kodak Black, being a drill rapper, is a Trump supporter. So that should tell you all you need to know.
You're okay.
In
this context, if I have a company, right, and you guys are my employees, and I determine what you get to eat every day, that's also going to determine how you exist in this company, right? Like if you come to work and I say the only thing you can eat is processed foods and fried foods, and you're not going to...
Yes, it's the commodification of black misbehavior for a white audience. To listen to the music, either yeah, you know how, because it's a whole thing where racist white kids, some of them skaters, ironically enough, will listen to this music and be saying nigga along the way. Or old racist white people to listen to the music and say, oh, that's what's wrong with those blacks nowadays. Listen at this hip-hop and music. It's talking about gang violence. When country music, punk, metal, all talks about the same shit. But only black people get shit for it. Our music production when it comes to that type of stuff, because people are racist. That's why. All genres of music, except for gospel, discuss all the exact same shit. But because people are racist and they associate rap and hip hop with black people, we get the shit for the shit. How about this? One of the biggest rappers ever is Eminem / Slim Shady. Especially when he was doing Slim Shady with Dr. Dre, he had some disgusting music talking about horrible shit with some lines that, you know, that they were talking about on the news sometimes. So don't give me this shit that black people uniquely make bad music that glorifies violence or sex. Because if you say that, you're just being a racist and you're fucking lying.
Get to have the best vegetables, etc. What's that going to affect? Your health. That's going to affect your ability to operate, etc. This is how the United States operates. There's a lot of us that don't want to admit that as much as accountable as we want to be, all of our brains also don't operate the same way. Some of us are much more apt to be indoctrinated than others. That's a fact.
He's not listening. This is the one time Amanda Seales is actually pouring her heart out. into a person, and you know this is almost over for me. He's not listening. Look at his posture.
There's a 1% of people that knows this. There's a whole show called Mad Men that's about
See, look at his posture. He's not listening to her. What he's doing is waiting for Amanda to get done talking so he can spit out more talking points. He's not listening to her at all.
advertising, etc. And if we don't acknowledge multiple things at the same time, then we simply cannot stop it. We can be as accountable as we want to be. And
I can guarantee you right here, after she's done talking, because she put in a very nuanced, passionate, and used an analogy for her speech to try to get this point across, and watch him rattle off some more talking points.
I hope that if you're right, because I hope you're right, I wish that it was a situation where if black people could just be accountable, then nothing else would matter. But unfortunately, that hasn't been the case, because we have seen when we have Black Wall Street in Tulsa and we have Black Wall Street in Durham, that when we actually do hold our own and build our own communities, they will still come and run it down.
Again, no accountability. What do you mean?
I mean, literally, black people were starting to catch up and still are catching up after the Civil Rights Act. And racist white people are trying to destroy social and economic programs that help with black progress and help with black civil rights. It's not a what you're talking about thing. It's a this is happening thing. Keep in mind, Ronald Reagan making college free to go. Ronald Reagan making crack have a higher sentence than pure cocaine. Richard Nixon associating black people with crime. Democrats moving rightwards to, on the black community when it comes to talking about crime and punishment and stuff. All this stuff was done by design to hurt the black community.
It was true that we built our country. They still burn it down. They didn't burn down Black Harlem. They did have a race conflict in Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but that was
it was a race conflict.
Combating situation where white people ended up just beating black people. Allegedly, there was an issue.
I'm not listening to this. Y'all can do this historical revisionism shit on your own time. So with that said, I think we're done here. There's nothing else to say. When it comes to talking about black issues, you have to debate black conservatives a certain way. Otherwise, they drag the conversation and they will be completely dishonest. So you either got to punch through and turn off the civility, or you got to have a moderator or have a moderator style debate. That's the only way to beat these people. And always remember, if there was no white supremacy, there would be no black conservatism.